Well, let's talk a little bit about being called as the primary president. Now, I remember in March, 2 years ago, I was sitting in President Monson's outer office because at the time I was doing research on his life for his biography. And I was sitting there and I saw the two of you walk in the door. And I looked over at you and I didn't want to intrude on the moment, but I knew what was ahead. And I kind of wanted to be the first one to raise my hand and say, yes, this is a great choice. So you went into President Monson's office. Tell us about the experience, getting the phone call, going into his office, all that came with it.
It is a life-changing experience. Yeah. And it was so sweet to see you that day. The day before, I was at home working on my computer. I received a phone call from President Monson's secretary. Would my husband and myself come and meet with President Monson the next day? Well, just the thought of it, I said, oh, of course, we'll be there. I hung up and quickly called Jack and said, Jack, tomorrow we've been asked to meet with President Monson. And Jack said to me,
what time?
And I said, I'm not quite sure. I stopped listening when I heard the name President Monson. I had to call back and say, oh, forgive me, but would you tell me, would you remind me what time? And she laughed and said, I wondered if you wouldn't be a little nervous. So the next morning, not knowing what it was about, but knowing that my life was probably about to change, I went to the temple. I had to be in the temple. I had to feel the Spirit there, but I had to be reminded and renew those covenants. And so at 1 o'clock, we were there, ready to go. And that's when I saw you when we were walking in that office out at the corner of my eye. President Monson was absolutely the kindest, dearest priesthood leader one could ever imagine. You would know that.
He is that.
For over an hour.
Yeah.
He taught us by telling us stories about children. He showed us the stick of gum that's in a little box in his drawer and the story of the little girl in Germany after the war. He told us story after story. And then after all those stories, he said, Sister Wixom, I bet you're wondering why. We've called you into my office today. He was with Elder Hales. And then he proceeded to say, the Quorum of the 12 Apostles and the First Presidency would like to call you to be the primary general president. Well, when you hear those words, you are never the same. And it just caught my breath, and I could feel the tears splashing off my cheeks as I just said, oh, President Monson. And then we visited for a few minutes, and then he said, Sister Wixom, I don't know that I've heard your answer yet. Oh, of course, President Monson. But my first reaction was a love for children all over the world. And it's never left me. When I see them in the grocery store, when I see them with their parents or in the arms of friends at church, the Lord has blessed me. And I knew then that I was not alone in this calling, and he would never leave me, and that the only way I could do it was with the Lord at my side.
Yeah.
You know, Heidi, it was very interesting because every one of those stories that he told us had a purpose. And they don't all come together until after the, you see each one of the purposes of those stories. And we've rehearsed those with one another again and again. Yeah. That same thing happened when I was called as the president of the mission. Yeah. He taught us for an hour just with stories about how to handle challenges without ever telling us that's what you do. He just told the story.
You know, we sometimes think he's just telling us stories, and he's not. He's teaching us doctrine. He's giving us guidance.
Absolutely.
He's giving us counsel. And how wise of you to pick up on that so quickly.
We were blessed by it, and it's just been a great thing when we reminisce and we sit and we talk about this calling, about the stories that we're told and how we can apply them. It's been a beautiful thing.